This video is brought to you by CuriosityStream. Stick around till the end of the video to find out how you can get my exclusive Nebula video, a very comprehensive guide to block chords. Hi everybody, welcome to Amy Nolte Music and welcome to my second video about block chords. It's the next step. In the first video, you'll remember that we talked about the way you look tonight. And we played around with how to play block chords in a very diatonic major way. Today, we're going to talk about how to play around with block chords in a very diatonic minor way. In our first video, we talked about how to play major 6th chords and minor 7th chords for block chords in the major realm, so that we moved around like this. And every time we were on one of these notes, we played a major 6 chord, like C major 6 in this case, and every time we were on one of these notes, we played a minor 7th chord. And every time we were on this note, we played a dominant 7th chord. And that's a nice little formula to take you through diatonic sections of major tunes. I wanted to point out something that I didn't mention in the last video that was brought to my attention, that actually, when we think about D minor 7, we're actually thinking about F6. So it's just another very settled chord, just like C6, which is really why it works. The 6 sound is just really settled. Today, we're going to talk about playing Mr. PC. Do you know this tune? One of the best minor blueses out there. This tune stays in C minor for 4 bars, then it goes to F minor for 4 bars. And those 8 bars make a great way to teach you about playing in a block style over a minor tune. The melody to Mr. PC also really lends itself well to block chords because it's stepwise. When you're looking for a tune to play block chords over, you're going to want to look for a tune with stepwise motion, a tune that doesn't have many skips in the melody and doesn't get very chromatic in the melody, and also that doesn't have a lot of repeated notes in the melody. It's not very exciting to play if you only have, a note that repeats a bunch of times. So stepwise motion, not a lot of skips, not very chromatic, diatonic, and not a lot of repeated notes. Those are kind of what we look for melody-wise. Now, chord-wise, we're looking for something that stays in a specific tonality for a while. So this Mr. PC gives us a chance. That's 4 whole bars of C minor. Then it changes to F minor. And back to C minor. So in those 2 places, we can talk about how to move around stepwise on these minor chords. It's a lot like the major chords. And in this particular video, we're going to address Mr. Barry Harris. Now, if you don't know about Barry Harris, you should learn everything you can about him. He passed away not too long ago, and he lived a wonderfully productive and musical, creative, long life. In the latter part of his life, he gave his nights, 1 night a week in Brooklyn to teach people at his own workshops. And you can find those on YouTube everywhere. That's where I learned to do this. So this is just me regurgitating what I've learned from Barry Harris. This is what you need to do in order to prepare yourself to play a tune like Mr. PC. It's to realize that this time we're going to rely on the minor 6 chord. For all of these notes, every time we play C or E flat or G or A, we're going to harmonize it this way. So familiarizing yourself with the inversions of this chord is a great idea. And any other time we play the other notes of the scale, which end up being these notes, you can see that they're a diminished 7th chord. We're going to harmonize them like this. So Say we have this scale that uses all of these notes. There's one of the first ones, there's one of the second ones, one of the first ones, one of the second ones, one of the first ones, one of the second ones, one of the first ones, one of the second ones. And back to C. We have this diminished sixth scale, a minor diminished sixth scale, as Barry Harris talks about it. It's an 8-note scale, and it sounds great to improvise on over minor chords. But we need to start understanding it in terms of minor 6th chord, diminished 7th chord, minor 6th chord, diminished 7th chord, minor 6th chord, diminished 7th chord, minor 6th chord. This one, you know, it looks like A half diminished, which could help you remember it. Diminished 7th chord and back. And it's a good idea to move right down through them just like you moved up through them. This is so good for your knowledge of inversions as well as getting this sound and these chords in your fingers. Of course, the next thing to do is to play it like we did in the last video in locked hands style, which is a term I didn't bring up in that first video, but whenever you put harmony in between an octave like this and make it nice and tight, we're talking about locked hands style. And your hand just stays like this. It's a feeling, kind of. It's to keep your hands just this close together where they're always touching. Just, I don't know, it's a great name for it, locked hands, because once you get there, that's how it feels. Then we're going to play them with the melody on the outside. So I told you the melody is. So we can play each of them twice. Now move to the diminished, up to the minor 6 chord. Here's an F, so we're going to play the diminished chord. And the last minor 6 chord and back. Now, we get a B flat in the melody right here. It figures prominently. There is no B flat in this scale that we've talked about, so we're going to go back to what we did in the first video and play a minor 7th chord on this B flat. And I think that G minor 7 is the logical choice. So we end up here. And I think that sounds great. One thing I need you to do is to remember what we learned in the first video. We learned about a major 6th chord and a minor 7th chord. Remember that, because sometimes you're going to find little sections that just don't work with what we're talking about, like that B flat. It's just outside of what I just taught you. So you have to go back and think about it a little bit. When we get to F minor on the next 4 bars, we're going to do the exact same thing. But this time we're going F minor and G fully diminished. You could call it G fully diminished, or you could call it B flat fully diminished, C sharp fully diminished, E fully diminished. Any one of those is okay, because they're all the same. And we do the same thing again. Quick E flat, which I don't think we need to harmonize. It can just be on its own. And then we're back to C minor. The next part, I don't think needs to be in block chords. And then I went back to it. It's nice to find sections of the tune to come out of it and to just play a melody. I think that makes your arrangement sound a lot cooler and can bring some focus back to the audience. They focus on your one note and then you surprise them with more harmony or whatever. But it's a nice idea to do both. Maybe some octaves too. Back. That's cool. There are other tunes that this will work on. I'd like you to find them. There are tunes that stay in one minor realm for a while, tunes that have diatonic chords to the minor key that they're in. Let's just real quickly look at Yesterday's. If you look at this tune, if we play it in D minor, if we look at the first 4 bars of Yesterday's, wonderful tune by Jerome Kern, we can see that all of these chords come from the D harmonic minor scale. There's the E half diminished, and we also look at the A7, right? All three of these chords come from D harmonic minor. So that gives us a chance to harmonize this in that way with the diminished sixth scale. Let's give it a shot. Beautiful. Sounds great, doesn't it? And then we look at the melody of yesterday's. We want to make sure that all of these notes, and that's all of them, come from the scale as well, and they do. So we take the A, put it on the bottom, get those notes from D minor 6. There we go. Let's look at the next four chords. They look like they stay in that realm until we get to the E7. The E7 is not one of the triads that we can build from the D harmonic minor scale. But B minor 7 flat 5 is. That's actually just the D minor 6 chord, so that's great. But when we get to E7, we'll have to do something different. And are there any notes in the melody that are not in this scale? This one. And this one. There's no C in that scale. So we're going to have to see how we can deal with them when we get to them. Because this is probably going to sound really cool if we can do it. Yeah, that sounds great. Now we've got this G sharp. My first instinct is to just, since it's a half step above, just see what another diminished chord would sound like. The one that is built from G sharp diminished. And I think that did the trick. It was just an instinct. Sometimes you just have to mess around. If that didn't work, I might have seen how a minor chord with G sharps on it would have sounded. If you do that, you sidestep everything exactly from where you're gonna land, right? Everything just comes down one. That's a great sound. Maybe I like that even better. Let's try it in context. Here it comes. Yeah, that's great. Next note is B, so we can keep in our D minor 6. Now we've got a C natural. I might just put the C on its own. And then put the B on its own too. And now just play a nice big old E7 chord, something, whatever you want. But I think that sounds great. So mess around with other songs that you can find that are minor like this and see what you can do with this new sound of playing, alternating between minor 6 and diminished. And when you get to a place that doesn't work, maybe you leave the note on its own. Maybe you go back to our other video and think about it in terms of, like, maybe it's leading you to a major key. You might have to switch your brain sometimes. It might be a sidestepping note, so you can sidestep it like we did. Tell me what you figure out in the comments. It's a never-ending journey for me. I'm always going to be exploring this. Now, I did say that this video is brought to you by CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream is the best place on the internet for documentaries. And using my code today, signing up for CuriosityStream can get you Nebula. Nebula is the place where you're going to find the exclusive video that I've made that is a complete comprehensive walk through block chords. I'll teach you a little bit about major, what we did last time. I'll teach you a little bit about minor, but I'll move forward. We'll get into drop 2 voicings. We'll talk about more tunes that we can apply these concepts to. And we'll talk about how you can voice things for locked hands or drop 2 voicings to achieve a different effect. It's going to be a really, really fun video for you to watch. And the best way for you to watch it is by signing up for CuriosityStream. If you use my code, you can get it for $14.79, and that'll get it for the whole year. You'll get CuriosityStream and Nebula. Nebula is where you can find all of my videos at least a day early. You can also find extended cuts of my videos that were just too long for people's attention span on YouTube. You know, if you go to Nebula, There's no comment section. There's no thumbs up to give. There's no view count. I can't see how many people have watched my videos there, and I can't see what you think about it either, which is actually really, really refreshing. It's just a place where people go to watch videos that they want to see and not to argue about things or tell me if it was good or not. I can just put a video there with confidence that it's just going to sit. And I love that, actually. Nebula was built by creators like me who are putting their videos from YouTube over there, but they're also putting special exclusive videos. Nebula is also just an amazing company building Nebula originals and Nebula classes all the time. So a lot of exciting things are happening over there, and you can see some of your other favorite YouTube music creators that are my great friends, like Adam Neely, Mary Spender, 12-Tone Music, Polyphonic, and many more. After you sign up for CuriosityStream, you'll get a welcome email from Nebula. Much thanks to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Amy Nolte Music.